In a world where celebrity couples often fizzle out before the tabloids can even print their engagement photos, Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard have become the ultimate outliers. Their relationship is messy, it's funny, it's awkward, it's honest. And somehow, despite the odds, the gossip, the public scrutiny, it works. Rewind to 2007. Two strangers at a dinner party. Kristen, a rising star best known for her role as the fierce yet lovable Veronica Mars, lit up the room with her signature sunny energy. Dax, a charismatic guy known for comedy but also shadowed by a not-so-glamorous past. He thought her cheerfulness was over the top. She thought he was trying too hard to be the center of attention. Zero chemistry, zero sparks, just eye rolls and indifference. But fate, as it always does in these stories, had other plans. 2 weeks later, they found themselves together again. This time at a Detroit Red Wings hockey game. A shared piece of chewing gum, of all things, became the catalyst. Somehow, in that tiny, insignificant exchange, a door cracked open. The ice between them melted, and suddenly they couldn't stop talking. The attraction wasn't explosive. It was gradual. It was confusing. It was real. They started dating. At first, it was chaotic. They were polar opposites. Kristen was structured, compassionate, organized. Dax was impulsive, wild, still sorting through his baggage. After about 3 months, Dax panicked and broke it off. He told her he didn't think he was ready. Kristen didn't beg. She didn't cry. She just stepped back and waited. Then, 2 weeks later, he came back, admitting he'd made a mistake. And from that point forward, they became inseparable. In 2009, after filming the romantic comedy When in Rome, Dax proposed. There wasn't a flashy ring reveal or some paparazzi choreographed moment. It was just a question and an answer. Kristen said yes, but still they didn't rush down the aisle. In fact, they made a very public promise. They would not get married until same-sex marriage was legalized in California. They stood for equality over ceremony. That decision instantly endeared them to a whole generation who had grown tired of superficial celebrity weddings. The early years of their relationship were far from smooth. Dax was open about his struggles with addiction. Kristen was new to navigating those realities. She admitted later that she didn't always know what to say, how to help, or how to trust completely. But she didn't run. Instead, she learned. She listened. She became a safe place for him, while also setting boundaries to protect herself. And Dax, to his credit, never shied away from owning his past or doing the work to heal. They talked about therapy constantly, not as a last resort, but as a maintenance tool, like taking your car to the shop before it breaks down. They did individual therapy, couples therapy, and therapy about how to talk about therapy. Dax once joked that their relationship worked not because they're perfect, but because they're two stubborn weirdos who just refuse to give up. Their fans loved it. Finally, a couple that wasn't pretending. They admitted when they argued. They laughed about their parenting failures. They shared embarrassing photos of each other online. They weren't selling perfection. They were showing the messy, hard-fought beauty of commitment. In 2013, after 6 years together, 2 engagements, and the birth of their first daughter, Lincoln, Kristen and Dax finally tied the knot. It wasn't a lavish Hollywood wedding, no designer dress, no guest list, just a simple courthouse ceremony that cost $142, and a whole lot of emotion. The photos? Adorably low budget and bursting with love. Soon after, they welcomed their second daughter, Delta. Now officially a family of 4, Kristen and Dax had to juggle parenting in the public eye. But even here, they did things differently. They refused to show their kids' faces online. They weren't playing the perfect family game. They wanted to raise their children away from fame. Grounded, protected, normal. But behind closed doors, life wasn't always calm. In 2020, Dax relapsed after 16 years of sobriety. Instead of hiding it, he addressed it head-on. He went public, detailing how it happened, what he was doing to fix it, and how it affected his family. Kristen stood by him, but she didn't sugarcoat the pain. She said it took time to rebuild trust, that she was angry and scared. But most importantly, she said, he showed up. He did the work. That's what matters. Their honesty earned them even more respect. They weren't just surviving fame, they were redefining it. As Kristen's career exploded with projects like The Good Place and voice roles in Frozen, and Dax's podcast Armchair Expert became a cultural phenomenon, they became something rare, a celebrity couple who were famous together, but not codependent. They supported each other's growth, even when it meant, stepping out of each other's spotlight. Fast forward to 2024 and 2025, and their story keeps evolving. Kristen celebrated her 44th birthday with a nostalgic Instagram post filled with old wedding photos and, well, goofy moments. She called Dax the most affectionate, chaotic, supportive man she's ever known. Then came awards season. Kristen earned her first ever Emmy nomination for her work on the hit comedy Nobody Wants This. While she walked red carpets in custom gowns and fielded interviews, Dax played proud husband in the background. He wasn't always dressed up, he didn't always show up to the events, but he was always there, supporting, encouraging. Sometimes it's backstage in jeans and a cap. Sometimes it's just at home with the kids, so Kristen could really shine. And when Dax made headlines for secretly watching a football game under the table at the Golden Globes during Kristen's big night, instead of being embarrassed, Kristen clapped back with humor. She posted the photo with the caption, #priorities. Fans went wild, because of course he did, and of course she loved him anyway. This dynamic, the playful push and pull, the public candor, the private loyalty, is honestly what makes them so magnetic. They don't try to be a fantasy. They just show up as themselves, flaws and all. Rumors have swirled for years about their relationship being too open, too weird, or too therapy-heavy. Some tabloids even tried to paint them as a crumbling couple. But Dax addressed the gossip directly, denying the swinger rumors with clarity and respect. He said, "We're not hiding anything, we just don't pretend. That's it." And maybe that's why, in an age where so many relationships are curated like Instagram ads, Kristen and Dax continue to thrive. Because they're not curating, they're just living. Loudly, lovingly, imperfectly. In recent interviews, Kristen has spoken about their dynamic with a wisdom that feels hard-won. She says they still fight. They still get under each other's skin. But now they know how to fight better. How to listen. How to apologize. How to keep choosing each other, even on the hard days. And their daughters? According to Kristen, the #1 rule in their house is simple. No lying. Not about feelings, not about fears, not even about the big questions like what happens when we die. She once told her kids, "You might become flowers, or you might not." And that's okay. That level of honesty bleeds into everything they do, especially their marriage. Kristen and Dax aren't selling a fantasy. They're modeling reality. And in 2025, as their careers flourish and their story deepens, they've become the unlikely face of what it means to love someone long-term in Hollywood. If you're tired of fake love stories and PR stunts, this is the couple to root for. Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard prove that real love is messy, hilarious, exhausting, and unbelievably worth it. Want more raw, real celebrity stories like this? Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tap the bell for more unfiltered Hollywood deep dives. And tell us in the comments, is this the most real celebrity couple out there? Or are they just better at keeping the chaos fun? Let's hear it.